Hello there. I did have a think about getting a coffee, another coffee, but guess not. So today I'm going to tell you a story. Folks. Oh, it's a real story as well. Real story about my life. Does anybody like stories? All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Professor Rich. We are live. It's May. It's May the 13th. It's Saturday. And I'm going to tell you a story. So, this is what our class is about today. Prof Rich English, an unanticipated thing. We're going to listen to a story, talk about problems and suggestions, and reflect. Let's move on here. I'm going to tell you about something which has happened to me 3 times in the last 2 years. Now, can anyone remember the missing word? And also, I think an interesting question here is, what does this word mean exactly? This missing word that I think you know. What does it mean? Answers in the chat. Hello, Pallavi. Hello, Jean-Con Carline. And hello, Julia Hatar. And hello, Kelly. Couldn't help noticing the Conversation Club. The link is not working. Does it need a VPN? No, it doesn't need a VPN, Kelly. I will try posting that link again. It should work. Absolutely should work. 100% should work. So I don't know what the problem is there. Let me just check this right now and I will post the answer in the chat there. My internet is really slow. Right. No, it works for me. What happens? It should work. Anawat said, no sooner had I finished dinner than you started the lesson. That's right. So Julia says, unanticipated. That's right, Julia. Unanticipated. So what is the meaning of unanticipated? What is the meaning of unanticipated? Don't use Google or dictionary. Just type in the chat there. What's the meaning of unanticipated? Zoya says unexpected. Well done, Zoya. That's pretty good there. Knowing something in advance. Well, it's the opposite, isn't it, Manuel? It's not knowing something in advance. So I would say unexpected is a pretty good one. It's a surprise. If something's unanticipated, then we mean it's a surprise. It's unexpected. It's not predicted. It's unplanned. Look at this guy. So that would be our unanticipated. So, impromptu. Well, let me ask you another question. When I say unanticipated, do you think that's positive, neutral, or negative? What do you think? Unanticipated. Oh, this is unanticipated. Is it positive, neutral, or negative? No one wants to have a go there. Yeah, Raquel Sanchez Serrano says it's maybe negative, and Raquel, you are correct. Could be positive or negative. The connotation, Manuel, is negative. When we say unanticipated, it sounds negative. So, today my story is about an unanticipated meow. So, what do you think is the missing word? What is this story about? It's an unanticipated moo. What is the missing word? What word can go here? Do you have any suggestions? An unanticipated encounter. Oh, Zoya, that sounds quite exciting, actually. I'm going to put that on. A story about an unanticipated encounter. Oh. Marvelous. An unanticipated gift. Well, do remember, Kelly, that we did say that normally we use this with negative things. So could a gift be negative? It could. But normally you probably would use a different word instead of unanticipated for gift. Does anyone have any other suggestions? An unanticipated... An unanticipated problem. Yes, definitely. That's a strong collocation, Raquel. This is an unanticipated problem. An unanticipated accident. Yes. Well, actually, accidents are almost always unanticipated, aren't they? An unanticipated meeting. Okay. You're getting some good ideas here. Unanticipated obstacle. I like that a lot. These are some great collocations you're coming up with, and these are really good use with this word. Unanticipated. Can you say it? Unanticipated. An unanticipated charge. Yes, 100%, Manuel. Has anyone ever had an unanticipated charge? I have. It sucks. An unanticipated charge when you get charged money, but you didn't anticipate it. All right. Let me give you some clues. Maybe you can guess the word. Number 1, it can be expensive. So Manuel's unanticipated charge is looking possible, right? It can be expensive. Number 2, it's the 4th most stressful thing after marriages, births, and deaths. And it's not divorce. It's the 4th most stressful thing after marriages, births, and deaths. Travel, an unanticipated trip. But trips are usually fun. Illness, says Zoya. Ooh, that's a good one. I suffered an unanticipated illness. If we remember the first sentence, it says, something which has happened to me 3 times in the last 2 years. Remember that. So could I have 3 illnesses in the last 2 years? I could. All right, here's the final clue. It involves searching, meeting, packing, carrying, and unpacking. What do you think it is? Super Beaver, who I've never seen in my chat before. Hello, Super Beaver. How are you, sir? Says it's moving of house. That's right. It is, in fact, moving of house. It's an unanticipated house move. An unanticipated house move. Yes. So, this has happened to me 3 times in the last 2 years. An unanticipated house move. And we're going to talk about those 3, and we'll start by talking about the first one, which was in 2020 during the pandemic. So the first time was during the lockdowns. It was in 2020, and I had an opportunistic landlady. So opportunistic. What is opportunistic? What's an opportunistic person? Is that negative or positive? What does an opportunistic person do? And what could an opportunistic landlady do during the pandemic? What do you guys think? Yes, Zoya seizes opportunity. I like the use of the word seize there. And you're right, it is negative. Negative. Seizing opportunity. Look at the picture. This is an opportunistic player in a video game. Jessa says hi. Hi, Jessa. Julia says positive. No, it's not. You might think it's positive because the word opportunity is positive. But opportunistic, to describe a person, is actually negative. Opportunistic is someone who takes advantage of people or situations. So think about it. It was during the pandemic, during the lockdowns. So what could an opportunistic landlady do during the pandemic? Let me give you a clue. People wanted to go on a holiday, but they couldn't leave the country. So how could a landlord make money from that situation? Raquel, that's a good suggestion that she wanted to increase the price. But think about it. It's not just about increasing the price. How could she increase the price? How can she take advantage of people who want to go on holiday to increase the price? So I'll tell you. My landlady at the time, that was in 2020, she wanted to convert the house from being a private rental into a holiday let. So what is a holiday let? Or a holiday letting? Let me put that word up there. A holiday letting. Or a holiday let. She wanted to turn her house into a holiday let. Something like staycation. Kind of, Kelly. It's not really. Staycation is when you stay at home. You don't go anywhere. But as what she wanted is she wanted people from other parts of England to rent her property on a holiday. So she said to me, you got to leave because I'm going to rent this for holiday rentals. And that was quite annoying at the time. Basically, she said she could make the money I paid in a month in 1 week. So that's what happened there. That was my opportunistic landlady. In the chat, do you know any people who are opportunistic? Can you think of any celebrities that you consider to be opportunistic? What about Trump? He's going to build a wall. What do you think? Is there anyone you know who's you think is quite opportunistic? Quite dangerous people to have, aren't they? Opportunistic people. You definitely don't want. If your friend, I think an opportunistic friend is probably not the right kind of friend. Plavi, you don't understand. I'm basically saying that in 2020, I was asked to leave my apartment because the owner decided to rent the apartment to people on holiday, because you can make a lot more money from renting to holiday. Julia says a fake friend. I suppose, yes, opportunistic friend could be a fake friend. So we're going to move on now to the second time. So the second time that I had an unanticipated house move, a second time was due to a dodgy flat. A dodgy flat. Dodgy. Do you know this word? Dodgy? A dodgy flat. What does it mean when something is dodgy? And what could be dodgy about a flat? Answers in the chat. That's right here. Quirky. No, not quirky. Quirky means a bit unusual in a funny way. It's not quirky. Dogecoin, not Dogecoin, no. Dodge is the name of a dog. Unreliable, yes. Unreliable is a good one. Kelly, yes, it is bad. So when we say dodgy, dodgy is a very negative word. Dodgy means low quality, means untrustworthy. It means, low quality, untrustworthy, has problems, suspicious even, could be suspicious. So this is dodgy. Low quality, untrustworthy, has problems, suspicious, dodgy. So what could be dodgy about a flat? What would you say? What could be dodgy? A dodgy flat. Oh no, Pallavi says some of my friends are opportunistic. Maybe you need to look at some new friends, Pallavi. When I was your age, I think you were about 18 or 19, aren't you? When I was your age, I had a lot of dodgy friends, not dodgy friends. I had a lot of opportunistic friends as well. And I think university is a perfect place to meet new people and move away from opportunistic and bad friends, basically. And even after university, I made a lot of really good friends. Much better than the friends I had from school. Hello to the other people joining us on the stream. Do smash that like button. Hit the subscribe. We got free English classes here. And we're talking about an unanticipated house move, which has happened to me 3 times in the last 2 years. So what could be dodgy about a flat? Misleading information, says Anawat. That's good. Yeah, that could be dodgy. Lots of problems, Raquel. Yes, but what problems? Zoya says furniture. What could be dodgy about furniture, Zoya? You're right, Manuel, that dodgy could mean that the flat is not secure. It's doubtful. It's not secure. True. Yes, Pallavi. So the teacher to student relationship is different than being friends. That's true. And that is the way it has to be. Okay. However, I do have a philosophy of having a person-to-person relationship, not a teacher-to-student relationship. So I don't look down on my students, okay? I see us at the same level. But I have to say, as a professional, we're not friends. We can't be friends. I'm teacher, you're student, and that's the interaction. That's the relationship. But for me, that is a person-to-person relationship on the same level. I do not consider myself above my students. I am on the level with my students. I hope that helps. Julia says a lot is on the line. Right, I'm going to tell you some things that can be dodgy about a flat. It can have mouldy walls. Do you know mouldy walls? Mold on the walls. It can be freezing cold. These were the problems with my dodgy flats, by the way. My dodgy flat, I lived there December 2022. So mouldy walls, freezing cold, leaks. Do you know what these words mean? What do you think? Can you type your answers in the chat? What do these words mean? You could hear everything through the walls. Have you ever lived in an apartment where you can hear everything through the walls? Kelly says, pretend to be a perfect flat, though it's got some leaking spots, unhealthy environment. Exactly, Kelly. She told you the rent was cheap, but the flat did not have a roof and hose. Yeah, well, it had leaks. It really had leaks. And the location, you got it, Raquel, the location, it was a rough area. What's a rough area? It's normal in England, Rich. No, it's not normal. A lot of water. No, that's not normal. That should not be. It's against the law, actually. What's a rough area? Overheated wall. No, it was the opposite. It was so cold. There was no insulation, and the heating was awful. It was so bad. A rough area is a bad area, and Pilly says insecurity. Yeah, that's basically it. So a rough area, rough in this case, rough, means, yeah, bad and like maybe a bit dangerous, just a little bit dangerous, not very dangerous, a little dangerous. It's a rough area. Try to say it, a rough area. Yeah, somewhere bad people live, yes. Maybe you have homelessness on the streets, maybe some alcoholism, maybe drugs. That's a rough area. Has anyone ever lived anywhere like that? Yeah, Zoya says bums and crime. Yeah, basically. Anyone ever lived in a rough area or in a dodgy flat? Shanze has just arrived. Says, you're live again, sir. Yep. I'm doing a story, Shanze. And I have DVR on, so you can go back to the start of this video now and watch from there if you don't want to watch live. But that means you can't interact with the chat. A slums area. These are some good vocabulary. So that was the second time. It was a dodgy flat. Okay. And then we come to the third time. And the third time actually is now. So the third time was my own fault. It was my own fault because I made a poor assumption. So, have you ever made a poor assumption? What is an assumption? Have you ever made a poor assumption? I used to work with a colleague and she used to say, don't assume. It makes an ass out of you and me. Which is assume. So I used to work with a funny old lady who used to say that. I was quite young. I was like 20 at the time. She was funny. Well, Manuel, the thing is, cement walls are not good at insulating sound. You need to have some proper sound insulation. Kelly says, hopefully there won't be a fourth time. You're telling me. Assumption, hypothesis, kind of, yeah. So assumption is when you guess something will happen, but you don't check. So that's an assumption. Is the video okay? I'm getting an error on YouTube. I'm a bit worried about it. Is the stream still working? It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Everything okay with the stream? So our Cyrillic friend says very often made poor assumptions. You make a lot of poor assumptions. So the trick with poor assumptions is you check. So assumption is when you don't check. You guess and don't check. That's an assumption. So what you need to do is you need to check, don't you? So it was my own fault. What assumption do you think I made? It's quite difficult, so I will tell you. So basically, I assumed that my contract would extend automatically, but actually it didn't. So when I checked, it seemed that when my contract ended, I would have to move. And that actually is June, which is in like 3 weeks now. So here we are, my third unanticipated house move. We're going to talk a bit more about that, but first, I want to talk about some English. We're going to talk about language for suggestions. So, in the chat, as an example, give me some language for suggestions. I have a headache because my neighbours are so noisy. What do you think I should do? Can you type full sentences in the chat there? Well, Zoya, it's a complicated story. There is a reason. Manuel says supposition is the mother-in-law of mistakes. I actually think, Manuel, the English version of that would be assumption is the mother-in-law of mistakes. The translation in English will be better like that. Oh, as a software tester, yes. If you're a tester, you shouldn't make assumptions. Could you guys write some sentences to give me advice in the chat? Okay, you should get some earplugs, says Raquel. That's fantastic. That is exactly what I want. Thank you, Raquel. You should. So just you should. It's a good way to make suggestions. Okay, trying. We have from Philly C. Yeah, Shanze says the stream has a lag. I think it's fixed now though. Shanze. You need to. Okay, so we got you need to. So these are all language for suggestions, right? Here's some other language for suggestions. These are some of my favorites. So we have, if I were you, I'd talk to them. If I were you, I'd get some earplugs. We've got why don't you? Why don't you get some earplugs? Why don't you try talking to them? I suppose you could. I suppose you could get some earplugs. I suppose you could try talking to them. You should probably get some earplugs. You should probably try talking to them. I'd recommend that you try talking to them. I'd recommend that you get some earplugs. Maybe it'd be a good idea to get some earplugs. Maybe it'd be a good idea to try talking to them. Your best bet is probably to try talking to them. Your best bet's probably to get some earplugs. Your best bet's probably to take a painkiller. You might need to get some earplugs. So these are some lovely, lovely phrases here. You should choose your favorite. I quite like. You should probably, and maybe it'd be a good idea to. You should probably, maybe it'd be a good idea to. Right, I like those ones. Kelly, that would be how about and then ing. So how about ing is the form. Like, how about getting some earplugs? How about talking to them? Like that. So there's the language for suggestions, which is our target language for today. So you want to pay attention to that. Didn't come through brilliantly, did that? The YouTube chat is so weird to copy and paste into. I suppose I could put it in the paste bin. Something like that. Anyway, it's in the chat. So, are you ready? I'm going to tell you my problems, and I want some suggestions. Get ready. Try to use the language. Try to use the phrases. Problem number 1. A lot of landlords say no pets, but I have 2 cats. What am I going to do about that? What should I do? Can you help me? Do you have some advice? A lot of landlords say no pets, but I have 2 cats. What can I do? What can I do, folks? Probably. 2 syllables. Probably. Not probably. Probably. You should probably. You should probably look for, not look after. You should probably look for a good landlord. Yeah, well, yeah. It's an interesting idea for sure. He's kind of making the assumption that animal people are good people, or good people are animal people. I'd recommend you ask for a petition to bring your cats. So basically, Pilly, you're saying speak directly to the landlord and ask them. Why don't you compromise with your landlord, says Fu. Yes, exactly. And actually, that is what I'm going to do. You should probably send them somewhere else. Send my cats somewhere else? You've got to be crazy. I'm not going to get rid of my cats. That's just not on. Pets are pets for life, folks. If you get yourself an animal, you make sure you keep it. None of this, oh, I'm moving house, so I need to get rid of my cat. That's nonsense. I'm afraid, Rich, you are wrong. The landlady has this power. The law is the law. She's the owner. What do you mean wrong? No, I want advice, Manuel, about how to get over the situation. It's not about being wrong. Actually, they've changed the law in the UK now. They've made it so the default position is that pets are allowed. And actually, your landlord needs a good reason to tell you no. Why don't you make your own home, says Pallavi. Yeah, that's great, except I don't have any money or magic, so I can't. Well, I have a bit of magic, but I don't have a lot. Dr. Archu, hello, Professor Rich. Hello, Dr. Archu, how are you? All right, moving on. Number 2. Here's a problem, and I'm looking for advice using the language for suggestions. There is the language for suggestions, by the way. So, the apartments in my price range are not good quality. What can I do about that? Does anyone have any suggestions? Try to use the language from before to give me suggestions about this problem. Can you help me? What can I do? Have you looked for apartments other than your area? That's a great suggestion, Sanjay. You're not using the language, but hey, have you's not a bad thing. Did you try blackmail? No. Maybe it'd be a good idea to say that both cats are not big yet. That's a good idea. And actually, that did help a little because I did say that and that helped a little. Maybe it'd be a good idea to negotiate about the pets first. That's nice. Dr. Archie said you ignored me so badly in Oxford session. What? It's difficult, Dr. Archie, because there's like 1 million people in the OOE chat, whereas here we just have 30. By the way, that's a record on this channel, 30 concurrents. Hello there, concurrents. How are you doing? Smash that subscribe button and like button. We're talking about language for suggestions. I'll rent you my second house, £500. Manuel, are you serious? I will bite your hand off. Can you hide me from the police, though? Because I'll be illegal in Spain. Although I do have a certificado de residencia, but I don't know if they expire. Why don't you check other apartments, see if there's somewhere cheaper? Oh, this is nice. Anawat, if I were you, I would find another person to share the room. That's really good, Anawat. And actually, I did try that. Moving on. Problem number 3. I have a lot of stuff and not enough bags to put it in. I've got loads of stuff, got stuff everywhere, but I haven't got enough bags to pack my stuff in. What can I do about that? Can you help me? Suggestions. Getting some great suggestions today. By the way, the truth is I have solved this problem, so I don't really need suggestions. But let's, thank you. I'm getting some good ones. Get another bag. Okay, Pallavi, well done. Use the language. What about that language for suggestions? What happened? Come on, look at the language. Want to see those phrases. Try to use them without looking at them. Try to remember them. And say it if you can. If you're alone, then say it as well. Why don't you forsake some of your stuff? Do you mean get rid of my stuff, Zoya? That sounds a bit harsh. The thing is, you move a lot in your life these days. I've moved house many, many times. If I got rid of my stuff every time I moved, I wouldn't have any stuff. Try calling a friend who might want to help. Nice suggestion, Pilly. And I have done that. And he is going to help. Probably. Helps me a lot, actually. He's a good friend. Manuel, no, it depends on the money. If you want to buy a house, you immediately get the red tape of residence. Do you mean if you want to buy a house, then they just give you the certificate? I'd recommend that you get a bigger one to fit in. A bigger what? I'd recommend you buy cardboard boxes. Ding, 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 ding. Well done, Raquel. That is probably what I'm going to do, actually. I'd recommend you buy cardboard boxes. You probably need to get rid of unnecessary junk first, says Anawat. Kelly says you might need to sell some stuff, which is unnecessary. Our Cyrillic friend says, I suppose you could do some furniture yourself. What do you mean, do some furniture? Shanzeh said, I'd recommend you to leave some of your unnecessary stuff. Excellent. Okay, moving on now. Number 4 and number 5. Just give you a few minutes to make some suggestions about, I need to move all my stuff, but I don't have a car. And my cats are used to going outside, but it might not be possible at my new place. What am I going to do about that? If you buy a house, you get the residence. Wow, that's crazy, isn't it? Not sure I agree with that. Does the residence expire? Because I have a certificate of residence in Spain from 2008 or 2009. Like, does it expire or does it stay? Because I've got a NIE, I've got the residence. Maybe I can just move to Spain. And actually, because it's been so long, I could apply for Spanish citizenship. How about that? That could be fun. You need to rent a car, says Nazrin. Well, maybe a car or maybe a van would be better. Rent a van. How big is the interest rate for credit to buy a flat? You mean a mortgage, Alexander? We call it a mortgage, which is a loan to buy a house. Mortgage. I have no idea, but I'm an English teacher, and English teachers don't get mortgages because we don't earn enough money. So I would need to marry a accountant or something if I wanted to get a mortgage. The interest rates are quite low, but I think they have gone up because the economy is devastated. What about a caravan? They are cheap. I don't think they'll give me residency for a caravan, Manuel. It's not you might probably, Julia. It's you should probably. You should probably train your cats to stay inside. All right. You should hire a truck, says Zoya. A truck's a bit too big, I think. So I'll go for a van. A truck is really big. Car is kind of small. Van is the good one for me for moving house. If I hired a truck, I'd need like another 2 guys to help me. And also I can't drive a truck. Manuel says you could leave them with a relative for a while. No, they'd miss me like hell. They wouldn't like it. Your best bet is probably to make the cats live as indoor cats. I'd recommend that you should try to ask for help of your friend who does have a car. It's good. Good advice, Kelly. As long as your landlord doesn't find out about your pets, I'd say there's no good reason to tell them. Nice. Okay. And Shanzay says lag. There's nothing I can do, Shanzay. I think my internet is fine here. So I don't think it's the internet. I think it's a YouTube problem there, if you're getting lag. Right, thank you so much for all your suggestions, everybody. That was very helpful. Here I have a bit of follow-up for you, which is to invent an imaginary problem you have. Think about the following. So you could type in the chat if you want to invent an imaginary problem. They could be about money, health, relationships, animals, education, work, or your own ideas. And what I would like you to do is, if you can invent a problem in the chat, then offer suggestions to other learners in the chat. Make sure you use their name so they know the advice is for them. Okay. So type in the chat your imaginary problems. And maybe some other students will give you some suggestions. You might need to get vacuum bags. Yeah, they're good, aren't they, vacuum bags? They're really useful for transporting, like, the sheets of your bed, the quilt and everything like that, and clothes as well. I actually do have vacuum bags. I'm not sure what a 4-in-1 suitcase is. That's interesting. If I'd saved enough money, I would have purchased a big house for myself, says Julia. Well, maybe you should just meditate, Julia, and relax and not worry about owning a house. That's my take. I don't think I'm going to own a house. You have to be a millionaire now. What should I do if my boyfriend is wonderful but doesn't earn a lot of money? Oh, I think it'd be a good idea to find a new boyfriend. No, I'm joking. Anyone have a suggestion there for Zoya? It depends what kind of person you are, Zoya. If you don't mind about money, then it's no problem, right? But if money's important to you, then problem. So Nazrin says you must find a new boyfriend. I think that's for you, Zoya. Not for me. Sanjan says, my only problem right now is the summer is not an unexpected one, but it's like someone put me in the oven. Oh, so it's really hot. Does anyone have advice for San John? I mean, you want to ask Manuel. He knows all about hot summer. Manuel says, the school let me go because I didn't attend for time. What should I do? Well, maybe you should consider an online course, Manuel, because that will give you more flexibility with learning. Super Beaver says it's cheaper to live in the outskirts of the city. Yeah, I'm not sure the relevance. Maybe you're in a different part of the video, Super Beaver. Julia Hattar was deprived of sleep these days owing to the sweltering weather. Wow, it's been really hot, has it? So I'd recommend getting a big fan pointed right at your face. That helps me when I'm sleeping in very hot places. I have a big fan and I have it right in my face. And even if I'm still hot, because the fan is right on my face, it helps me to sleep. Dr. Archie says, I always have health issues. Sometimes I'm confused if I'm a doctor or a patient. Yeah, sometimes people have health issues. You might want to try looking at your diet, Dr. Archie. Like, try to get some vitamins, minerals in there to try and kind of build up your system. I highly recommend high-strength vitamin D with K3. You can find them on Amazon. High-strength vitamin D with K3. You want the K3 because K3 helps vitamin D get to the right place in your body. Raquel says, why don't you get air conditioning? Yeah, it's a good suggestion, Raquel, but probably air conditioning is mega expensive. Kelly says she has 21 cats and 4 dogs. Alex says, K2? Question mark. Yeah, K2. You done them with vitamin D and K2? Oh, I'm getting a bit of acid reflux. Oh, I haven't eaten properly today yet. So, of course, acid reflux. Plus coffee. There's this one. This is the one I recommend. I can't prescribe what you should take. I'm not a doctor. But I take 2 of those every day with fish oil. The fish oil helps to absorb it also. Zoya has advice for you, Manuel. She says, Manuel, maybe you need a new page in your life. What's your consumption of D3? 6,000? 8,000 normally for me is what I take. 8,000 and I never get sick. It's improved my mood a lot. I used to get seasonal affective disorder, which is like depression in the winter. I don't get that if I'm taking this. Well, I do a little, but not a lot. I take a lot of supplements as well, Alexander, not just D3. I take vitamin B, I take glucosamine, potassium, magnesium, zinc, multivitamin. And Pallavi again didn't use the phrase, but just says, leave her, Manuel. And good advice from Pallavi for Dr. Archie there. Take care of your health, walk every day, and eat healthy food. Yeah. By the way, if anyone wants advice on vitamins and supplements, I highly recommend, I'll just post this link in the chat. So there's a guy called Joe Rogan. You may or may not know him. He's the most famous podcaster in the world, and he's 55. He looks like he's 35. Well, okay, he looks like he's 40. So he looks about 15 years younger than what he actually is. and he takes loads of supplements. And I would recommend just looking at the supplements he takes and deciding what you want to take. So there's an article here that you can look at, which will explain all of the supplements that Joe Rogan takes. And you just have a look at it and decide which of those are important for you. That's what I did. That's a good reason, Julia. I can see the problem there. You can buy air conditioning, but your flat is a hall type, not suitable for your father's health condition. Julia, maybe you should try opening the windows at either side of your flat. So at the very back and at the very front of your flat, so that the air blows through your flat. Is that possible? I used to do that in Spain. It worked quite well, except when we had El Poniente, and then it doesn't work very well. Pallavi says, my parents don't want me to have a boyfriend. What should I do? Probably follow your parents' advice. I don't know what to tell you, Pallavi. I can't say. If that's a real situation, definitely follow your parents' advice. Alexander says, get married. No, she's too young to get married. If you get married when you're like 18, 19, then, you don't experience life. You don't know anything about how to choose the right person. Marriage is a very important decision. Yeah, Dr. Archie says, Pallavi, you should take your parents' advice. They're right. Possibly they are. I think my personal perspective on this is that Western society has a lot of problems right now with relationships, and I think partly it might be due to the sort of hookup culture or Tinder culture that we have going on in the West, and I don't think it's healthy. And but I don't know the solution either. Don't ask me about relationships. I'm not the expert in that area. Maybe being single is better, not more good, but better than marriage or relationship, says Archu. Okay. Buying a house may be cheaper than you think in the UK. Oh, the Dominican Republic, a beautiful villa. Yeah? Is that right? Maybe I'll have a look then. But how do I get residency in Dominican Republic? If I find the right person, I will consider for marriage. Very good. Average price is below 100,000. I don't have 100,000. I'm an English teacher. I've got 100. 100, not 100,000. 100. Can I buy a house for 100? Right. All right, thank you for joining me today, everybody. It's been my pleasure. We broke the records on the live streams on this channel, which I'm very happy about. I will be streaming here again next week, same time, 2 p.m. Saturday, Prof. Rich. I'll be here. I probably won't be live on Oxford Online English next week, but I will be here. So I would love to see you all. And do remember that we do have a lovely live chat available via Skype. Please do use your nickname/name from YouTube. So don't come as a guest, but use a proper name so we know who you are. But come and join us on our little chat there, Conversation Club. It would be lovely to talk to you, and we've got a great community that we're building up. Smash that like button, smash subscribe. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely weekend, lovely week. And yeah. Ooh, Pallavi, the problem is I like older men, like 25 to 30. I think that's too old for me. What do you think? Whew, this is a spicy topic. I think I need to let someone else give you advice on that. I think, Pallavi, what I would say is you definitely want to approach things with a rational mind. Consider, you're still very young, you're building your own career, and it's likely that when you have a serious relationship, you know, you're going to get a lot of emotions. And in those situations, it's easy to make mistakes. So you really want to have your ideas of how you want things to go before you start committing to anything. I'm not saying wait too long. I think a lot of people in the West wait too long for a serious relationship. And if you want to have a family and children, then it's important to, do that kind of in your 20s, right? But you want to make sure that you want to have very clear in your head what your objective is, and then find a person who has the same objective. In that case, I don't think age is a factor. As long as they have the same objective as you, and say, for example, you want to have a family and 3 kids, and you agree on how the kids should be raised, and maybe you share a religion and share interests, and your personality is compatible. Personality is really important. Like, are they very stressy or are they relaxed? Both of those things have problems, right? Relaxed people can be quite messy. Whereas stressy people obviously create stress in the environment. So you need to think about a lot of things, and it's not easy. It's not easy, and probably I'm not the best person to give you advice on it either. But hey ho. Right. So again, thank you very much, everybody. Have a lovely week. Have a lovely weekend. I hope to see you all next week. Let's have a bit of an outro then, shall we? Let's go. Outro.